Welcome to Diva Days of Our Lives. This is Carrie at Diva of DOOL, and we have Marianne here from University Hospital.
Yes, I am Marianne, and you can find me at mama_hooch on X, and I'm also on Facebook, and Instagram. It's those meds.
Well, maybe someday they'll combine.
Yeah, really.
Facegram, I love it.
Icegram.
All right, Anna.
You can find me. I'm still in the Witless Protection Program. You can find me at Kazi Hooch on Instagram and X. And I think somebody needs to bust Marianne out of Salem University Hospital
Yeah.
because nothing ever ends well there.
No.
I
Yeah.
don't want to make you nervous, but no.
Yeah, soon.
Jen, I forgot if I
Derek's
introduced you or not. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, I'm Jenn. I'm at REXJDK at Twitter.
All right, Marianne, you tell us anything that's on your mind. Go right ahead.
If I can remember. Well,
Oh, man.
Man.
I think it's Kayla. I'm blaming this on Kayla.
that's what I did a lot.
Kayla and EJ are sabotaging Marianne.
Yep.
They obviously
Yeah,
fired all the tech people and haven't hired them back. Now, fine at the beginning.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, there you are.
Better?
a little bit. Yeah.
Yay, you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
hear
okay.
you.
Okay. Okay. So we had John's funeral most of this week, right? I think Monday through Thursday was all about John's funeral. I thought it was very well done. Really some good eulogies. Eric officiated. I thought Belle's was really well done. Carrie. I think they all were. Carrie. I really liked the part with Marlena, and they read the poem because they did that back at one of her weddings, and all the kids put flowers down. Let's see. Brady did sing Amazing Grace. And then later on in the eulogy,
Marianne, you're breaking
he
up way
talked
too
about-
much. And then Anna disappeared. What the hell's going on?
Yeah. I think Log Talks.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get Anna back on. Anna?
Yeah, I went out because I thought maybe it would help to not have me in there at the same time. But I don't think it's still not. She's still not
No,
connecting.
she's frozen.
Could be the hospital Wi-Fi.
That's what I'm thinking.
Could be.
Probably so.
Okay. Well, basically this week
Well,
started
I
out with
guess-
the funeral. No, we really didn't hear anything you were saying.
Nah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Marianne. We were looking forward to hearing from you. You're a trooper. Okay, good night.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so John's funeral this week. And the highlight to me was Eric Martzoff doing his
Oh my gosh.
John and Drew impersonations.
Yes.
That was really good.
Yes. That was so sweet. And him singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually
that's
never heard him
great.
sing. When he sang Amazing Grace, I kind of lost it a little bit
Right.
there.
Yeah, the eyebrow thing and talking about the different eyebrows he would give at different moments. Yeah, that was just priceless. Okay. All right.
Sorry, Marianne couldn't connect with us.
Yeah, because I know she really wanted to talk, and Drake Black is one of her favorite characters. Hopefully next week she'll be home and the Wi-Fi would be much better. Yeah, they had Abe, Shane, and Steve speak basically kind of in like a work capacity with John, eulogizing him that way. That was kind of interesting. I wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked
Yeah.
that. And man, Charles Shaughnessy, woo, he looks good.
He does look pretty
Let me
good.
tell you, I defended myself a couple of times.
Yeah, he always looked good, but I mean, it's a shame we couldn't get Patsy Peace back too. I would love to see. Yeah.
Yeah. But considering we've all aged like 40 years since last I mean, he's been on since, but
Me.
Oh, I forgot about that. And then poor little Rachel, that was sad. So Brady picks her up to take her to the funeral, and she tells Brady that she thought it was her fault John died because she had a dream. And Brady said to her, no, he was just saying goodbye to you. And that was really sweet.
Yes.
So, which is probably true. It's probably exactly what happened. And so she goes to the funeral, and she just can't handle it, and she's upset. And what was odd, though, was Tate and Ari took her home. Now, I can understand Tate, that's her big brother, but she doesn't know Ari at all.
Wow.
well, but I think Ari kind of wanted out of it too because it was her first funeral. I think she was feeling kind of weird about it.
And she didn't want to see Will.
Just so long as Tate and Ari don't date. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I kept thinking, is there any way they're related?
No, they went through it. They said, yeah, because I think Rachel thought it was Tate's girlfriend, and they're like, no, we're cousins. So
Yeah. No, they're related. So, I mean, it was her great grandfather and his grandfather. So they have to be related somehow in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, I just thought, oh crap, let's not do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Could be because they probably couldn't have Rachel sitting there because of the child labor laws. They had over 3 days worth of, like, 3 episodes worth of filming
Yeah.
for this event, and so they probably had to manufacture a way. And I think they wrote a beautiful way around it too. Both at the house, like you said, at the house when she was first saying she was sick to her stomach and didn't want to go. I honestly, Eric Marstoff deserves either these need to be on his Emmy reel, the episodes this week, or he needs to have like a best performance of the week kind of thing or something. If Soap Opera Digest still does that, because the range that he showed, I'm even taking back the part that when I used to say when they came over, he and Galen came over from the Passions, and I used to call them the Passions boys. And it wasn't really a compliment. So I have to say, I mean, and I've liked Eric since then, you know, but I have to say he showed such a range and was so good this week. I mean, just good, that he deserves some sort of recognition. Really, really. He was great with Rachel. He was great at the funeral. He was great with, the brother sister relationships. It just everything. He just was really perfection. I mean, and singing the song, the Amazing Grace. You have to know too. This isn't just a normal soap opera funeral. This is the guy that they've worked with all these years and has played their father or their husband or their friend or their boyfriend or their co-worker or whatever, or partner. That this man that's played those roles and has been on the set with them over the years, all of these years, is at home dying. I mean, it's like the fact that they had to do this before he passed and everything, that had to be so incredibly hard. And I don't know how Eric Marsoff got through that, to be honest, but he did a great job. And I'll shut up about it. But I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
And I really like the new Rachel. I mean, I like the old Rachel, but I see where they're softening her in some ways. The other Rachel, acting wise, she probably could have pulled it off, but because she came off as such a bad seed, it's like she wouldn't have been as empathetic, maybe, or so.
Right.
But the little girl that plays her now is also doing just a great job.
My question is, where is Justin? I mean,
yeah, it's like he went to Port Charles or something. Why don't they get? What the heck? You're right.
To Ned.
Well, we could stand here all day and say who the people were that weren't there, that like signed in the book and then left. Jennifer and Jack and Jennifer sign in the book and just leave. And then what about all the people later in the week talking about John's service that weren't there? Or weren't sitting there in camera view anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's what always makes some of these public events so difficult, like weddings and funerals. The people weren't there. Will wasn't there. There's no reason why Will wasn't there. It doesn't make any sense.
Maggie.
Yeah. Jack and Jennifer, that made absolutely no sense at all. Anna, we know she's in town. Special relationship with John.
Yeah.
She wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, Anna was actually in town. And
the man raised her daughter.
Yeah, she was always grateful to John for raising Carrie. Kate snuck in at the end.
Yeah, I was going to, the Kate report this week was going to be presented with a flamethrower if Kate had not showed up at that funeral. Because I'd have torched the place. But the place I cannot indicate where, because I'm in a witness protection. Right. But anyway, I'm glad she got to sneak in at some point. And I love, oh, go ahead. So I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah. So there were a lot of people that were not there, and I just don't understand why they couldn't have, I mean, people that were literally on set that week.
Yeah.
That weren't at the funeral. I mean, it's one thing if they're I'm glad Bo was able to. I'm glad Bo insisted on
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, just having, well, Jack was at Abby's grave, and I guess he popped in at the funeral and left. That's, maybe they can't handle a funeral. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, and I gotta say, though, them not acknowledging John and Kate were a couple is bugging me so bad.
Yeah, that I have a feel. Well, yeah, like she said, I did like that she talked to him at the, came up afterwards and had her private moments with, I guess, with his urn, and said, but she said what a great friend he had been to her. And I'm gonna choose to believe that the writers passive aggressively gave tribute to Jate by the fact that Kate walked in on desk sex with Alex and Stephanie. Because wasn't it Jate that used to fool around at the office? So one of the many couples, but so I'm gonna say, okay, maybe that was their tribute. But yeah, you're right. I guess they couldn't really make that, like, I guess they didn't want to piss off all the Jorlina fans. Maybe that was
Could have
it.
just
I
said,
don't know.
hey, I thought Roman was dead. John thought Marlena was dead, and that they stopped comforting each
Yeah.
other for a few months.
Yeah,
Because that happens. So
maybe maybe they didn't find that appropriate at the funeral. I don't know. It would have been nice if in some sort of conversation,
It was a
Kate could have talked about it, like even with someone other than Roman or somebody, just because it would have been nice if she could have verbalized that, if the writers would have allowed her to verbalize that. I'm glad she did get to have that private moment where she could talk about him, but anyway. Yeah. And I'm glad Kristen wasn't there. Thank the Lord.
that would have been awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awful.
And
So,
we did have a lot of Kate stuff if you want to go. Kate report. She had a great week.
Sure. Yeah. Well, earlier in the week, let's see. I loved your dress. I love the pleat that she wore. I love the pleats, the skirt, the pleats in the skirt part. That was really pretty. So let's see. Towards the beginning of the week, I'm trying to think. Didn't she have some scenes? Basically, one of the things that was running through everything was that she temporarily has lost the manuscript. Okay, so aside from the funeral scenes and everything, she lost the manuscript. We all know that because Anna found it, and then Anna left it somewhere, and then who got it next?
Amy.
Kayla.
Got it first, and it was Amy.
Who was it?
Mrs. Troy had it.
Yeah, that's right. And then I knew there was another person in between, and then Kayla. So it's getting passed around more than Stephanie herself is. Anyway, did I say that out loud? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe I did that. Anyway, so that was definitely not planned. But anyway, so she had some scenes, and then a lot of the time she was by Philip's bedside, and she did talk to Kayla at one point. Said was afraid to leave him because, Kayla was like, you should go home. And she's like, I'm afraid to leave him with that degenerate man who tried to murder him is rolling around. She goes, well, we have a police, guard outside the door now. You can feel secure. And I'm like, when in Salem history has that ever done one damn thing? I mean, people still end up getting in. And how many times have people tried to be killed by smothering as well? But while they have a police presence there. But anyway, so that gets to the end, which you guys can talk about. But anyway, Kate she just wants to destroy Xander at this point, understandably. And but Kayla did say that his vitals, everything looked like they were stable, and she said Kate was like, "Well, I'm just kind of hoping maybe he'll come out of the coma, or whatever they're calling it, while I'm here tonight or something." She says, I really don't think that's probably going to happen tonight, but probably within the next few days. So is what she told Kate. So Philip will probably be coming to. Now, will Philip remember? Or will Philip even be willing to admit that it was Xander? Because is Xander going to threaten him on the side? What's going to happen? I'm curious what's going to happen when Philip does come to. But anyway, so meanwhile, Kate's looking for the manuscript and still can't find it. So she goes to Alex and she says, look, that's when she walks in on Stephanie and Alex on the clearing off the desk as they start, trying to have sex with her. Anyway, she's like, she walks in. I wanted her to say so much like, John and I had some good memories that way too.
Right. Yeah.
But that would have pissed off the Jarlina fans, I'm sure. Anyway, not that I care, but But so after Stephanie scurries off in shame, so Kate tells him, she's enjoyed the book, or somebody, I can't remember. I think she told Alec, I can't remember. She said how good it is. It really is a great novel, but that she said you are probably going to rescind your offer to hire me as the Titan publishing head when I tell you that I can't find the manuscript right now. Now, let me ask you something. When Alex first took the manuscript to the office, didn't he say at one point that he had made a copy of it?
Yeah.
I swear he made a copy of it.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so it wasn't just my imagination. So he's got a copy of it. So yes, she does need to find it because if it falls into the wrong hands, as it is now, it looks like there's going to be pre-orders out the wazoo. People are already sold on it. He has a copy of it, but he doesn't have the original, and Stephanie doesn't know that he actually took it in because he didn't tell her. Because she was like, a few weeks ago, she was like, I'm so glad you didn't take that in the office. I've just changed my mind. I don't want to have to deal with that with the public or anything about it. And he's like, he's thinking, oh crap. So anyway, so now the manuscript's on the loose. And so I'm hoping when Kate's back in the hospital, she'll see it sitting on Kayla's desk, the whatever, the desk up front and all that foyer or whatever.
Well, right now it's on Kayla's desk.
Lobby.
In her office.
Yeah. And so I mean, and the thing, and he said, well, even given all that, I mean, he still really wants her to run the publishing wing. And she said, well, she goes, to be honest with you, as much as it's very much a part of my identity and history. When I moved to Salem and everything, I still would probably have to say no, just because I cannot stand the idea of reporting to Xander Kyriakis, who tried to kill my son. She says that's just not gonna work for me. And Alex said, well, what if he ends up getting convicted and then he won't be a problem anyway? And I think then, didn't she say that there was potential then, maybe, that she would consider it then, but not before that. And so right now she's just going to try to figure out where the heck the manuscript is. And I don't know why she hasn't talked to Anna yet again. Anna could have said, oh yeah, I was reading that manuscript. But anyway, so she could trace it back somehow and figure out who has it. But anyway, so yeah, so I think am I missing anything?
She was talking to Philip at the hospital, and I think she stepped out, and that's when Xander came in to grab the pillow.
That's right.
Kate's still at the hospital while Xander's with Philip.
Right. I thought she was going to walk in on him trying to smother him.
Which I didn't, with the spoilers that promo came out, it doesn't look like she walks in on anything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
Actually, the promo, Philip denies that Xander attacked him.
Yeah.
I bet that's what he's going to do, because he's going to try to save the whole, he's going to try to play hero and save his ass save Xander's ass so they can work together still or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, but that's basically what I can remember.
Okay. With the funeral, so Chanel asked Tate how the adoption's going. So do we think Chanel and Johnny still have a chance of getting this baby?
Maybe.
Yeah, because I think Marianne's idea that Aaron's the father, because I think Aaron comes back here soon. It's probably, it's probably true. Speaking of the Green family.
Yes, Kat. What the F?
For Shane.
What the F? Hello, director. What?
Working for Shane.
Too fucking stupid to work for Shane. I'm sorry. There's no way in hell anybody looks at her like,
no, but
this spaz is spy material. She is that.
Trust her with if this is her cover, she's gone really deep to be superficial.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust her to watch my cat.
Exactly. Exactly, and her name is Kat. Well, it's probably not really Kat, but oh my gosh, I'm like, what in the heck?
So is she?
How's that backstory going to be rewritten? That's a mess. That's a hot mess.
So is she really Cat Green, or is she impersonating Cat Green?
Oh my gosh. And then And then, yeah, I mean, is the girl that's really Cat Green still, in a hospital somewhere? Or was that whole story just manufactured anyway? I mean, I don't know. But that's bizarre because she has Felicity, right? And she's, so they're not faking that. So I don't know. I don't understand it at all. But I was just shocked when that happened. Nothing much shocks me anymore because, we have spoilers and stuff like that and we can kind of figure things out. But that one, I was like, what?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Why are we propping a very unpopular character and a very unpopular actress?
My goodness. Well, and then, okay, so did Shane make sure to position her to be Marlena's assistant so that she could watch out for her and kind of protect her and all that and kind of be like a security, like a undercover security type thing? Because think about it, it's like she's working for Shane all that time. Shane had John out in the middle of nowhere, Estonia, and didn't know where the heck he was and what had happened to him all. And it almost makes me think, well, did it just happen by accident that she ended up being Marlena's assistant? Or was she kind of like eyes and ears and undercover? Like Marlena wouldn't have wanted a cop outside her door. Of course, we all know that doesn't work anyway. But she'd been like, oh heck no, I'm not having somebody follow me around and protect me. But I wonder if Shane assigned her that. I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm like, what? And did you see when who was it that saw Cat and was just like disgusted? Who? Julie, that's right. Oh my gosh.
I will say something though. I like Missy Reeves. She's great. But can't they find her something else to do than scream at Cat?
I don't know. I'd be screaming at Cat though.
I know, but there's so many other people she can interact with.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
Jack.
Well, I want her to see Bo, and I want her to be with her cuz.
She was this week, yes.
Oh, okay. I missed Thursday's episode, and I watched Friday's, but I had to fast forward to try to get through see Kate's scenes. So because I ran out of time. But okay, so she did get to have scenes with them.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Yay.
Jen, Julie, and Hope had some ice cream and had some
Yeah.
flashbacks and reminiscing, and then Jen announces they're leaving town again, and it's like, what the hell was you and Jeff
Why?
were in town for? I mean, it hasn't even been a day.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I don't understand. What was the point of bringing them back? They're not at the funeral, and then they're leaving.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have been there for the funeral as as longtime cast members that, I don't know, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, and Hope at the rehab facility with Bo tells him that John is dead, and Bo insists on going to the funeral, and Hope tries to stop him, and of course that doesn't work, and they go to the funeral.
Yeah. Which I'm glad that
Yeah.
happened. But I mean, I also feel kind of bad. I mean, poor Bo, he finds out in the last, the day or so since he's been in rehab, he's like found out his dad passed away.
His
His
father-in-law.
father-in-law passed away. It's like, and there was at least one other person, I think.
John.
And he finds out Chelsea had a kid, and then he finds out. What my question is, okay, here's my question. I've been having a time with the timeline. They're saying he was basically out of it before the sepsis. He was basically out of it for 2
Mhm.
years. And I mean, Ben and Sierra got married longer than that ago and had a kid longer than that ago. So I don't understand the
Well,
timeline
he was with
very
Megan
well.
before that.
Yeah. He was locked up with Megan, remember?
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. Oh, that's right.
Another
Well, I remember on that island where Kate and Marlena were and stuff. I remember Bo was there or something, right? That's when he got shot or something. No, that's when.
Sean shot him. Steve was there, Kayla was there. and Hope.
Yeah. Okay. I was just confused. I was like, it hasn't just been 2 years since you last. I mean, like everybody keeps saying 2 years, but the amount of things that have happened have been longer than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was a lot for him to absorb all at once. But I'm glad they had him go to the service.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, during the service, they had the kids, the joint kids between John and Marlena had flowers, the same flowers they had for the 1999 John and Marlena wedding.
Yeah. With Paul stepping in for Sandy.
Yes. Which I don't know why I absolutely do not remember that wedding. I don't.
Me either.
I'll have to look it up. I don't remember it. I didn't remember the flowers. I didn't remember anything about it.
Yeah. They've been married so many times, how can we tell?
Yeah, I actually thought, I mean, did they even show the first wedding with Deidre wearing the big Statue of Liberty crown?
No.
How do you not do that one? They call that one like the snot wedding too, because I can't remember, one of them had like snot dangling from their nose. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. But I can't believe they didn't show scenes from the first wedding. So that would have been cool. When, maybe, and, it's been discussed that everybody knows that he thought he was Roman back then. So it wouldn't have mattered if she was calling him Roman. Yeah, that was a very odd choice not to include that wedding. And I mean, I like the flower part with the kids, but yeah, I don't remember anything about the 1999.
And then the 2007 wedding in Italy, right? I remember that one. Just by the fountain.
Yeah, the water fountain one. They did show scenes from that. And I actually really liked that dress.
Yes.
That was a pretty dress.
Yeah, and then the Sammy Fiasco wedding.
Oh, I don't remember that one either. What happened with that one?
Didn't she shoot somebody?
Probably.
I thought, wasn't it? Yeah, they were having a wedding and Marlena got shot while she was in the wedding.
I thought that was Xander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they thought it was somebody else at first, right? They think it was Sammy? Or no?
Yeah, I thought so. I know.
Or Susan? They thought it was Susan. It was like Susan or Sam. I don't know. Something weird happened. Right? I don't know. But that was a wedding too, wasn't it? Like, they should have said one of our 17 weddings. We're going to talk about that now.
It always cracked me up as like, well, which anniversary do you celebrate?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. So yeah, I did read that Alison Sweeney said she couldn't make the funeral. That's why she didn't. Sammy wasn't there. Her schedule was booked up and she filmed 2 weeks later. So Sammy will be back here shortly.
Okay. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. I'm glad because
I figured they just didn't want to bother to cast us Sydney,
Yeah.
So she'll probably come back and Sydney will still be recovering in the hospital, but out of the woods so that Sammy can come in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so predictable, but whatever.
It was nice they tried to have a few outs in the ceremony. Lilacs were delivered, and that's Marlena's favorite.
Yeah.
Kayla tells Marlena the coin is still missing.
Oh, yeah. And then the symbolism of the coin was for hope that he would come fully, that he'd come back to us and be, able to come home and everything. And so since that's not going to happen, she really doesn't care about the coin, Yeah, I thought it was, did everybody catch when people first walked in and they said, oh my gosh, that's horrendous. And they're like, oh, it's from Vivian. Figures.
That's the thought that counts.
Yeah, the thought wasn't nice, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was Carrie and Belle, and they were, they were talking a bit about
Sammy.
Why wouldn't Stephanie be there? I mean, I know some of these people watched it on remote, but that's supposed to be for people who are either like working the ER that night, or that are out of the country or out of the state and couldn't be there. I mean, that's not for people who live down the street, I mean, and are perfectly capable of showing up. So that annoyed me. Not that I care that Stephanie was there or not, but I mean, she should have been sitting there next to her parents. I mean, that just it's odd. Just very odd.
And I wish they could have had a better setting. The
Yeah.
fake outside set. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either do it at St. Luke's or, you know what? Once in a while, I want
Yeah.
to spring a little money and actually shoot outside.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Or at least if it was at St. Luke's, because didn't they say it was going to be at St. Luke's, but then it ended up being outside?
Yeah.
So then it's like, why? If it were at St. Luke's, that would have required this whole big set, I guess, and then they would have had to fill the pews
Yeah.
with people. They didn't want to pay all the people, I guess. I don't know.
And would Eric be allowed to officiate in St.
Oh, that's true.
true.
Good point. Yeah, you can take it outside, Eric, but not inside. Yeah, that's a good point. And you notice he didn't have an actual collar either.
He's not.
But I'm glad he was there. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that they had him there. I mean, glad that he officiated and stuff. And yeah, I mean, all told, even with the criticisms, I mean, I did think it was a lovely tribute. Now, what to me was kind of weird, and I guess now in thinking about it, the reason they wouldn't have originally put Drake's name at the end of the third part the end of the service was because he was still alive when they were filming it. But why couldn't they have added that later? I was just shocked that there wasn't a memorial, like a picture of him at the end with his name or something. We'll miss you, Drake, or something like that. I was just really surprised that they didn't do that. But they did have a nice tribute and all that. But I did like the big picture of him. That was a great picture of him. Yeah. So anyway, so I guess it did a fair amount of good things in terms of the history of the characters and everything, even the parts we don't remember.
Yeah, and speaking of parts we don't remember, we had the wake at the pub, and I can't remember who had the really good wake at the pub. Like it was drinking and like it was jovial one.
Was it
Was
Sean?
it Sean?
Maybe it was Sean. I think it was. Yeah, I couldn't remember Sean or it was Bo, but there was something that was a bit more jovial. Maybe it was Sean, but like this one was weird. I mean, poor Marlena even being there was odd, and she obviously wasn't emotionally capable even being there. I mean, it was almost kind of cruel.
Yeah.
I didn't like her being there. And then so that was Roman, Bo, and that was weird that Hope wasn't there.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Even Kayla.
Yeah, and Shane, yeah. And somebody mentioned Abe should have been there too, and I'm like, oh yeah, that would have made sense. But yeah, it was a weird wake, and then they did a toast to their enemies, and they all had to pick an enemy, and that was kind of weird.
That's kind of odd. Why would you do that at a wake?
I know.
That's
giving
not
them
cool.
power.
That's not something, huh?
That's giving them
Yeah.
power.
And that's not even something you'd want to do when you're trying to celebrate the life of someone.
You don't reflect on their enemies.
That's really weird. I don't know where that came from. So that must have been Thursday's episode because I've got to go back and
Yeah, it
watch
was Thursday.
Thursdays.
This Friday had nothing to do with John, really.
Yeah.
Except for Maggie.
Yeah. So I just didn't get that. And honestly, I never liked the John Black spy stuff ever.
Me either.
So to me, I would have focused more on, the family issues and the relationships and the friendships and all that, and less the international man of mystery. Because I always thought that stuff was so cheesy. But Toasting of the Enemies was just bizarre. It didn't make much sense.
Yeah, of 10,000 identities.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I'm glad they finally settled on one, but it was so convoluted, and then the timelines were changing. And oh yes, he really is a Brady, but then they're having him older than everybody else who really is older than him, and Colleen and the Centene stuff, and he's half Demira, and no, he was.
They totally gaslit us on that one.
Yeah.
Remember when they were bringing Teresa on, and they wanted Teresa and Brady to be able to, I think, be able to be together eventually. So they had to demolish that whole storyline, which was sort of excruciating that summer of 2007.
Oh,
Not that I remember it, or it's emblazoned, but part of it is Tony and Anna reunion was that summer. But the Santine stuff, God, that was excruciating after a while. But I mean, it was an interesting idea at first, but I think it was just too long. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and then they just completely acted like that never happened, which sucked because it was kind of an interesting storyline, even if it was told too stretched out.
What's funny nowadays is you could figure out who your ancestors are online.
Yeah.
Actually, just online. I read this week Billy Idol found out he had a son because his daughter did 23andMe, and she said, hey Dad, who is Brant? And he's like, oh, I have no idea. And turns out in 1985, he was with a woman just for a week.
What?
But it was a very important week, apparently.
Yeah, so basically, he just found out, he has a 40-year-old son now he didn't know about. Yeah,
that's cool.
The woman was in a relationship with a guy. I guess they broke up for a bit. And she said, because her son asked her, well, who the hell's my father? And she's like, well, yeah, your father and I broke up for a bit, and I spent a week with Billy Idol. Can you imagine telling your kid that?
And then the sister, Billy Idol's daughter, finally did one, and oh my gosh, that's funny. Found out she had a half brother.
I think the only thing scary would have been Ozzy.
Well, that's what they know, like on soap operas. It's going to be hard for people to hide, attorneys and all that, because,
But it is a great tool. We know personally people that have found family members that way. So, I mean, it is a cool thing. But yeah, it does kind of make it to where Maury Povich is totally out of fashion now. I mean, he has been for years, but he doesn't. They put him out of a job with that one.
Yeah, I told you my friend did it. Found out her father wasn't her father, and her real father had 8 other kids. Yeah. Yeah, that's messy. So that's why I'm not touching that stuff with a 10-foot pole. Nope.
No, don't want to know.
I lived this long without knowing.
Perfectly fine.
Yep, I don't need any more siblings. Thank you very much. So we have Sean comforted Belle, and this is kind of after Belle didn't want to be comforted by EJ, and EJ looks pretty jealous.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care. This is not a good triangle.
Same.
Yeah, I don't like EJ.
They can both go visit Claire at the same time in South Africa and not come back for a while, as far as I'm concerned. And what is Jada like writing him off now because he lied to her? I saw part of that, but I had to fast forward through part of it. So I mean, she had a good reason.
Yeah.
She's trying to save Beau's life.
I think she forgave him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but they act like they didn't have a relationship. That's what's weird. It's like they're trying to memory hole the whole thing.
Very strange.
Was that under Ron and maybe the new writers just ignoring it?
Maybe.
No, because
Isn't it kind of like the end of Ron's writing around that time?
And also, yeah, could be. Yeah. Also, we didn't get to see Chelsea. Did they show Chelsea and the baby? Okay, I didn't think
no,
so.
they just said she's there, but she's off.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all off screen. That was kind of strange. So.
Yeah, so that was kind of awkward. So I don't know. It's like they pretty much ended Jada and Sean, which is weird because Jada's not
so
back
weird.
with Rafe. Rafe looks like he's not making any attempt to get back with her. So, but we have Sammy coming back into town. Who the hell knows? Maybe Rafe will go back with Sammy again.
Oh, jeez.
If she's got another kid with him,
When Steve decides he is ending Black Patch and he's retiring.
thank God.
Immediately before he even said it, I immediately thought, Kayla's gonna be crap, you're gonna be bugging the shit out of me. And then he says, he says something like, now you might not be real happy with having me around all the time. I thought, she's already thinking about it. She's like, can I assign myself as chief of staff to some extra hours? Not that Patch isn't not that Steve isn't wonderful, but you got that kind of energy and that kind of always in the middle of something kind of vibe going your whole life.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to shut that off.
Yes.
So do you think, Beau, let me ask you this, do you think they'll hire Peter Reckle to come back and work as his partner and they'll open it back up under Brady and,
Brady Johnson?
Beau and Steve? Because I know Peter Reckle wants to come back, right?
I'd love for Peter Reckle to come back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, they're too old for the spy game.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen Nichols, even though he looks amazing, is in his set.
Oh my gosh, I still can't believe
it. He's fantastic,
Yeah.
but it's like...
But you're right. They're getting up there. They need to retire. They can still cause some shenanigans, no pun intended, in town.
Yeah.
They don't have to be. Plus, I mean, John had no business really technically being out in the middle of Estonia.
No, he should not know his
So
age.
I'm hoping at some point some I like psychological stuff, and I would like to see Marlena get really mad at him, like in part of her grieving. I would like to see her because there was a little bit of that came out about at the funeral about how as happy as she is that Beau is back is okay, he's back. It's like kind of like basically she lost her husband because of that.
Yeah.
She says it's okay for me, and she's like, and Erica's like, that's a very human thing to feel. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to go back to not feeling human, But I'm just wondering as a character study, it would be interesting to see the psychiatrist
lose it.
Kind of lose it a little bit in terms of, and it not be some supernatural Stefano or demonic thing.
Yeah.
Just really psychological, like anger at the man she loved. And it's just a phase and part of the process. But I mean, they talk about him being such a great dad and all, and yet, they were writing him MIA because of Drake
Yeah.
sick, but still, I mean, and then she never even got to really hug him. Of course, he wanted to save Bo's life, but it's like to be that close, to be in town, be that close, and not even still after all this time, not to be able to see him until after he was already in that accident and
Yeah, and
everything.
bandaged.
Anyway, so I think it would be interesting if the character was allowed to go through that part, because there would have to be a little bit of anger that would need to come out and be vocalized and felt, truly felt, and then I think she can get over it, because that's who he was. Would lay down his life for a friend or a family member, so that's who he was. At the same time, she sacrificed a lot, and so maybe, I don't know if that'll ever come out or if they'll ever
Go
look
there.
at that.
Yeah, it'd be
But
nice if they showed her going through the stages of grief.
Mhm.
That's a good educational thing to show people.
Right, that it's normal. And
Right, because I know when my fiance lost his wife, they gave him brochures and stuff, and it talked about the stages of grief, and he was telling me about it. So yeah, it's like denial
Yeah.
and anger, and there's a few
and
acceptance and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
One thing that annoyed me is when, she stopped. I thought it was great that she had stopped by to see his father, John's father, to let him know before it hit the news and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And so that was good, and I like that. But then at one point when they're back at the penthouse, this is before the funeral and everything, and she's like, "Yeah, I've got to do some things, blah blah blah." And I don't know, something they were like, "Well, we can help you with that, or we can do." She goes, "Well, I need to start learning how to do things for myself." And I'm like, the Marlena Evans that I knew
Yeah.
when she was at that time back in the late 70s, early 80s, was like a hero role model to me, to the little 13-year-old girl or whatever I was. That kind of pissed me off that they wrote her saying that,
Yeah.
because she's been doing things for herself for like 50, 60 years now, as far as on the show. Not that many years, but 50 years. So I thought that was kind of odd. Like, Marlena, he's been gone for periods of months to years over
Right.
time, and you've managed to survive.
Yeah.
You don't like it, but you've managed to take care of things,
Mhm.
And so I just thought that one line, I just wish they had not said that, because that grated on my nerves a little bit.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that. I just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, because for her situation, that's an odd thing to say, but other people I know who say got very, very young, stay with them till, 50, 60 years. All of a sudden now
Sure,
they're
yeah.
trying to figure out how to handle the finances because they never did it before. They never
Right.
did the bills. Like,
Right. The way they split the duties, the other one took care of something all the time. Yeah, so I do get that part, but Marlena, that didn't ring
Mm-mm.
true for
Not
her
at all.
character at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a little gripey thing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it if she was trying to say, like, I have to get used to maybe being alone. I mean, but
Yes, yeah.
doing stuff like what exactly did John do that she couldn't do or didn't do? I can't think of anything. But but I do know people who.
Yeah, it's a real
It's a real
thing.
thing, especially.
It's a real
Yeah, like
thing. It's just like that character wasn't a real thing.
Yeah.
I think.
yeah,
I mean, if they had written it to where it was like, I'm gonna have to learn how to do things on my own, knowing that he's not coming back, or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
I don't know. I'm being nitpicky, but that one just kind of sent the back of my neck hairs on fire a little bit, because I was like, the Marlena Evans I know was not. I mean, she was a professional,
She
for a
was
lot
no
of
straight to Violet.
She was
yeah, she
independent,
was
though.
not.
I mean, she came to the show as being an independent woman. Yeah.
Right. She had her own career and was a doctor and a psychiatrist, all that. So yeah, that just was it. I mean, I'm not trying to get all like, I'm not all upset about it, but it did seem like a little bit of yeah, that's a common experience for couples that have been together for a long time. But also, it's not it's not an experience that Marlena really had. Now, the idea of him not being in her life, they even had some periods where they weren't
Right.
together, but still, like, he was alive. But there were times when she thought he was dead. So anyway, it was more complicated than that one sentence. I don't know. Anyway, that was nitpicky, but I
Yeah,
had to share
that's
it.
true. I mean, this is John's second funeral, so she's been
Yeah.
She's been widowed by John before.
Like, do we really know if that was John after all? Did anyone actually do a DNA test? No, I'm just kidding. I know that that's sensitive because I mean it would have been Drake, But yeah, so I wonder if his family was. I bet they weren't even able to watch that.
Hard.
But that was yeah.
Yeah, so the end of the week was Xander and Sarah. Yeah, that was rough.
Because they're both right.
Well, there's no excuse for Xander to beat up Philip.
No.
And then him blaming it, her saying it's her fault. That's a huge narcissistic move. You made me do this. Yeah.
That was twisted. That was very twisted.
Like, oh, if you had told me the truth from the beginning, Philip would have gotten beaten up. Like, no, you would have just put him up months ago.
Yeah, instead of he wouldn't have waited. What really needs to happen is Xander really needs to figure out how to do anger management control.
Yeah.
And I do not like the way they're writing him totally dark instead of gray. I really like gray Xander.
Me too.
Yeah, he has no regrets for what he did at all.
I know it's scary. I mean, he's kind of. I mean, I wouldn't want him. I mean, he's handsome as hell, but I wouldn't want him around within an inch of. I mean, within miles of my child if I had a child.
Yeah.
I mean, he's terrifying. He's the kind of guy that would kill his kid just to get back at the wife, the ex-wife. No. And also, honestly, the volatility of his temper, that's an argument right there for him to not have only have, visitation, supervised visitation.
Yeah. I mean, it's Salem and Sammy has won in court, so
I know.
Yeah.
Even with Xander's past, so maybe
Good.
Maybe he was trying to warn Sarah that to not run off with the baby.
Yeah.
I felt that was a weird thing to even come to that conclusion.
Well, she has run off before. She has done that before.
I mean, to me, that wouldn't be like Sarah's next step. To me, Sarah's next step would be fighting for primary custody, maybe getting a PFA, or a restraining order against Xander, saying, hey, you know what, he beat up his brother's in a coma, brother might die. To me, all that would be the next move, not just, I'm going to go take the baby and be on the run with the baby.
Well, no, what happens when Philip says that he didn't do it?
Then...
Yeah.
But it's odd, too, that she's still living in the house. Like, I understand it's Maggie's house, too, but it's like, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near there. But Xander can really walk in at any second.
Yep.
So I wouldn't feel safe there. She can go back to the Hortons. I mean,
yeah.
I just didn't like that. Yeah. So it's almost...
The doctor, she can afford her own place.
Doctor, she can afford her own place.
Yeah, she really doesn't need her mom to babysit. Her mom in her 80s babysitting. But yeah, it's the whole thing. Yeah, it's a soap opera. Obviously, we have a beloved super couple child married to a serial killer. So it's, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and Sarah and Xander are going to get back together again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking things a little too far to do that. But yeah. Yeah, so after that's when he went to Philip's room and was going to suffocate him. So, yeah. He went from trying to negotiate visitation with his daughter to like, hey, I'm going to go. I'm going to go double down and commit murder again. Xander, no regrets, zero. And the spoiler I have for next week, Monday, Stephen Nichols is celebrating his 40th anniversary on his role.
Wow.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty cool. I'm glad they do stuff like that. Have a special episode for him. That'd be pretty neat. Hope we see new scenes though. Sometimes when they show his early patch flashbacks, I kind of don't like them.
I know. He was not a nice character back then.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. So much credit for Stephen Nichols, that character that was supposed to be just a random character, supporting character, and he turned it into a romantic leading man. That's impressive. Right? Yeah, because that was not the intention. Because I thought Sherry Anderson was quoted as saying, well, she thought Steve Johnson was going to catch on. She wouldn't have named him Steve Johnson. She would have given him a better name. Not something so vanilla. Yeah, and same with Jack Devereaux. Who the hell? I mean, seriously, I think Jack was one of the most hated characters of all time, especially after he raped Kayla. And then, you got, part of a super couple after that with Jack and
Oh.
So, kudos.
Yeah. Sorry, you don't like them together. I mean, they are running Jack better. now. He's not so stupid.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, that's one thing always turned me off. He was just awkwardly stupid. Like nowadays, we would have said maybe he was on the spectrum or something, because he was so emotionally unavailable, and was always trying to keep Jenn at a distance from him. But so yeah, I don't miss that part, but I do miss him being funny, maybe being a rogue, doing things that are a little unethical.
Yeah.
I do miss that. Yeah, he lost his edge.
Yeah, and I did not care for the Duke and Harper ghost popping up all the time. That annoyed the living crap out of me.
What about them? Yep.
Like, you have a great mother, a great brother, and a great sister, and you're gonna listen to these two bozos?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there anything we missed tonight?
Can't think of anything.
Alrighty. I was trying to write down spoilers, and honestly, for next week they look a little boring. It does look like Sophia's giving birth on graduation day.
Oh.
She is or isn't? It is. Oh boy.
There's a graduation to remember.
Yeah, nah. One girl in my class, I think she was 8 months pregnant when she got her diploma. Yeah, it happened. I know when you sit there and you do the math, and you're like, that kid is how old now? Holy!
Yeah.
Every time I see one of my classmates as a grandparent already, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Of course, I'm having a fourth step grandbaby next month.
Aw.
Yeah.
So looking forward to
That'll be
that.
fun.
Alrighty, ladies. Well, let's
All
wrap
right.
it up, and hopefully Marianne will escape from University Hospital by next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to all write in letters to Keila to fix the freaking Wi-Fi.
No, the letters have to go to EJ.
No, I don't think AG is gonna give a shit.
No, we're screwed if that's the case. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Take care,
Okay.
everybody. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.